Hello and welcome to another episode of Simply Saturday. I'm going to show you a card today that is fast and easy to make. We will be using the Cheers and Sips bundle, also the designer series paper that coordinates with that. I'm going to be showing you a fast card and easy because of the product here. Not as much because of the technique, but because the product is going to make it fast and easy. So I'm beginning with a bubble bath cardstock base. It's 4¼ inches by 11 inches, and I am going to score and fold it at 5½ inches. So this is going to be a little bit different of a card base, but not one that we don't use very regularly. All right, so I've scored that at 5½, which is the halfway length on my 11-inch cardstock, and fold and press it with my bone folder. All right, then I have a piece of Blackberry Bliss, which I've been using so much of. I cannot wait for my shipment to arrive because I've got some more Blackberry Bliss cardstock coming. I'm literally down to scraps. This piece is 3½ by 4¾ inches and is going to get added to the front of my card. And then I have a piece of the designer series paper that's going to go on top of this. And it is 3¼ inches by 4½. And I've chosen this print as my little background print. All right, super fast and easy at that point. Now I do have a circle. This is a large circle die cut from Spotlight on Nature dies. That's this set of dies, and there's 2 groups of circles. It's the second largest from this group, and it looks like this. It has the little kind of like dots and dashes going around the edge. So I went ahead and pre-cut that. You could use a different circle die or punch even if you want, but I would go for something pretty big. This is going to be the backdrop of my pieces that I'm going to cut out and add. When I cut this out, I realized that there's a little spot on my paper. Something must have transferred when I ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which won't matter at all because it's going to get covered. So we're not going to worry about that spot if that's bothering you. I have a little scrap of white here, and I'm going to use Old Olive ink and stamp the word Cheers on this piece. And then I think I'll go back to my paper trimmer and trim this a little bit smaller. Sometimes I just go ahead and stamp on a small piece of cardstock, but in this case I've stamped on a little bit larger scrap than I needed, and now I'll cut it down to the size that I want. So that looks about right. I'm going to take a little off the first part of the word, this end, and then I'm going to put a little banner or flag end on that side. All right, so snipping from the flat edge up a little ways, and then from my corner, go ahead and snip in until I feel it catch at that little point where it was snipped. And then instead of coming in this way, which feels backwards to me, I'm just going to flip this and cut the same way that I did the first time, from the corner nearest me up to where I made the slit. And there we have that. Okay. When you go to attach your circle, you can choose to put some dimensionals on here to keep it super fast and easy. I'm just going to attach it flat, but dimensionals would be a nice touch at that point. And this gets centered nicely right there on the edge of the designer series paper, and then kind of look at the top and the bottom to see if it is centered. All right, there we have that. Now, this is where the fast part comes in because of the product. I'm going to take this sheet of the designer series paper that already has some glasses, some cocktails or mocktails if you wish, printed on the paper. Some of the ones that do not have a garnish can easily be die cut. There is a shorty or a low ball or a stemless wine glass, if that's what you want to call it. There's a die for that, and then there's a die for the taller glass. So you're welcome to do that. Now, some of these that have the garnishes already pre-printed, those are obvious for fussy cutting because you don't want to chop off part of the garnish. So if you don't have the dies at all, you can simply fussy cut, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this tall red one out. To use on this card. I'm going to keep that because I might use little pieces from that. And as you can see, this is going to go very quickly, just trimming out the glass. I'm going to need a second one, so my brain is thinking about which second one I want to add. Probably one of the purple colored ones. All right, there's my glass. This is going to go here, and see I'm covering up that little smudge, whatever that was. So this is going to go here, and then I need a second glass. So looking back at my papers, I do think I want this purple one. It'll pull in the Blackberry Bliss. So I could put the die on there and die cut it. Since I am filming and showing you how easy this is to fussy cut, I'm just going to fussy cut it out. So first I'm freeing it from the rest of the page. And then I will give it a trim all the way around. All right, now this one I feel like is going to need a garnish. So what I'm going to do is I am going to show you how to stamp a fancy umbrella and cut it out. That part is probably not so much fast and easy, which I usually stick to. In that case, I would have suggested that you choose a second small glass that already has the garnish. You could just cut that out, add it, and you would be done. But since I chose this plain one, I will show you a fun way to put the little parasol on it. Okay, so there's my glass. All right, I'm going to glue those down, and then we will finish with that parasol or umbrella. All right, let's get this in place. I would think that's some kind of a pomegranate maybe drink. And this one could either be some Cabernet, some rich dark red wine, or this could be a drink that's made with berries to turn it purple. Okay, so I'm going to slightly overlap here, bring this one down a teeny bit. I will grab the cocktail stick or the toothpick from the stamp set, and using crumb cake ink, I'm going to add this right to my cocktail. All right, now it's got the cute little knot in the end of the wood stick, and I don't want that down here in the glass. Obviously, it's going to go up here, but it's going to get covered by my parasol, so I'm not even worried about kind of where it lands. There is the stick. And then I'll take this little, let's see, I'm going to grab some paper. All right, I'm going to use a scrap. I thought about that, but it's not really appealing to me right this second. So I'm going to look for a little scrap of this floral paper. That's what I'm going to use. And taking the umbrella stamp, and I'm just going to go ahead and use Old Olive because it's out and we're going for fast. So instead of reaching for another color, we'll just use Old Olive and stamp right on there. I'm going to take the little die and run that through my machine. So let me do that and I will show you what it looks like. All right, sorry to get a little off track on the fast and easy part. As I mentioned, just cut a second glass out of the paper that already has the garnish, and then you don't need to do this step. But truth be told, I'm very happy to show this to you because it's so cool. All right, so I've cut the little umbrella or the parasol out of the printed paper. It's so adorable, and I'm going to add it to my glass like so. So I'm choosing to use some little mini dimensionals to do this, and it actually will do just fine with one right there in the middle. All right, there's that, cute as can be. We'll take our little cheers flag and add it to the glass, add it to the card front. Oh, I see a little notch in this that I'm not happy with. I'm going to straighten it out. It usually happens when I'm in a hurry, like when I'm filming a fast and easy card. But once I put this onto the card, I can see that the little notch is a teeny bit messy and I don't like it. So I'm just going to clean that up. Ah, that's better. I didn't notice it until it was against the colored cardstock, and then I could see that there was a little funny spot right there. All right, so I'm going to add my cheers banner like so. Look at how cute. And then let's just add a couple of low profile dots to finish this off. So I'm going to use a small one. I found these low profile dots to be really sticky to the backing paper. All right, I'm going to use one here in the drink and a second one. I think I'll use a large one down here. And a third and final right there. Oh, super cute. All right, we need our white piece to go inside. It is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I have a little scrap of paper here that is the same print as this. This is about a 1/2 inch. Is it a 1/2 inch? This is actually about 5/8. A 1/2 inch would be fine, but because it's already cut, I'm just going to use it. So adding this to the bottom inside panel. It's also a little bit long, which is fine because I can just trim it off. Using my grid mat underneath, I can kind of see if I'm pretty straight. That looks good to me. And let's trim that off. All right, this could be done at this point. I'm going to go ahead and add one more stamp. I've got cheers on the front, and then I'm going to add let's celebrate. I'll use Blackberry Bliss ink to do this. And instead of putting it up here, which is where I would typically do it, I'm going to do something different. I'm just going to put it down here at an angle. Let's do something different. Okay, way cute. Then you got plenty of room there to write your message. Let's get that added. And once again, our Celebratory Sips products have come in to make a wonderful, absolutely adorable Celebratory Sips card. And that, my friends, is our fast and simple card for today. Until next time, happy stamping.